I am bored. At times like these, when the current season is done with, and I have about 2 to 4 weeks of doing absolutely bloody nothing with myself, I like to remember that I also like languages, and I also need to make use of that love. So I'd like to announce to you a new occasional series where I look at various historical cases of English and Ukrainian conlangic and conscriptic attempts and consider the important lessons they might teach us that absolutely nobody fucking cares about. I even made a special intro for it. For those of you who couldn't be bothered to open a Wikipedia article, conlanging is when a person creates his own language, conscripting is when a person creates their own script. All languages and scripts are ultimately constructed. Yes, even what you're currently using right now was constructed in a lab by other people based on something really arbitrary. Like any creative venture, a created language can go in any direction, bound only by the limits of imagination. But the human imagination is a wonderful thing that is simultaneously unfathomably complex and also demonstrably shallow, which is why we have categorized a lot of this creativity already. And today we will talk about controlled languages. The centrism of conlanging, where instead of killing all the Jews and starving all the Jews, you just want to let them live and tax the banking system. The age between 1870s and 1940s was a remarkably noticeable 80 years for the world of conlanging when it turned from an occasional hobby of the various occultist nut jobs and dusty old university professors into a part of the intricate and very old-age Europe solution to solving all world's problems. And between all the Volapukes and Dromedids of the world came a modest proposal. What if instead of creating a language from scratch, we take our current language, take a sandpaper, and grind out everything that is very complicated about it? So in the year 1930, a literary critic, Ivor Richards, and Charles Ogden, known for being an unhinged radical, have created a simple book called Basic English, a general introduction with rules and grammar in which they proposed to limit English to 850 words and ban all but 18 verbs, and pretty much the usage of the verbs in their entirety. And Charles was so enamored with this idea that he began to openly advocate it, polishing it, publishing it up until his death. And reading his thesis today reads more like a political pamphlet than a linguistic book, where he presents Basic English as a solution to finally unite the world by radio, technology, and language, killing off those pesky minor languages like Russian or Spanish or Chinese, because when everyone speaks the same language, then everything would be hunky-dory. It was especially helped to civilize those nasty Asians, who fortunately are already seeing the light of Western civilization. All we need is a little push. And many people like this idea, if not for its rhetoric, then most definitely is an idea, and it blended with the numerous attempts to modernize English spelling. Many famous conlangs like Orwell's Newspeak or Quijada's It Girl would probably be impossible without Basic English, and though the idea ultimately failed for reasons we'll talk about later, the idea of simplification will be taken by various specialties that require to say a lot of information in a few simple words, like general business and aviation and early PC commands. So whenever you're frustrated by your technical manual for your Chinese bootleg iPhone, remember that, like many things in this world, it's all fault of some random long-dead Brit. I think it is safe to say that reality has proven many of Charles' beliefs to be wrong and right at the same time. Though English is de facto the international language of a vast majority of things, it became so not by simplifying it, but rather at gunpoint and with control of technology, the way pretty much any language becomes spoken by a large number of people all over the world. What's interesting is that many people haven't actually critiqued Basic English in any sort of unique way. Most of the criticism I could find for Basic English mimics roughly the same routine arguments any Oxlang gets, like that it's inherently Eurocentric, or it lacks the soul of a natural language, which can be easily refuted by saying that the soul of yours is just your own personal bias, and that people in glass houses should not criticize a language for being Eurocentric when they speak fucking English. My personal criticism of Basic English isn't really that special either, as it effectively revolves around a simple question: why not learn the language normally? Because English lacks gender and can pretty much use any word however it likes, it becomes very interesting to see words like case, the myriad of differing definitions it has, and then trying to seriously propose that learning this exact word with a simplified grammar is going to be easier than just learning the damn language normally. I suspect that's probably the reason why it ultimately failed. Though controlled languages do have their uses, their ultimate fate is to be a tool to operate a spaceship, not some daring and innovative way to assimilate the world.